I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do I want to be happy for?
Damn.
I want to be proud of myself.
That's some real shit, bro.
So what do you do to make you proud of yourself, and what do you do to make others proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable suffering. And we did our job fantastically, absolutely not as we should. And we always will. And everybody around us was okay. And that is extremely comforting in times of hardship because we're built for suffering. We were absolutely not built for suffering. No matter how close I came to crying inside of that jail cell, I knew all the people around me were safe and all the people around me could eat. And that's all I cared about. When I would call other people and they were asking me how I was, I'd say, we don't want to talk about me. How are you? Are you okay? I'm in a jail cell in Romania making sure that everyone I love is okay. I don't need them to sit and worry about me. I worry about them. That is what a man does. And you must prepare and set up your life for that. You must be prepared to be plucked from life and understand that everybody around you who once relied on you will still be relying on you even when you sit in that jail cell. It's still up to you. You are still the man of the household. Only you. And if you don't pay the bills, who's going to do it? Your wife's just going to what? Go get a job, get like 5 jobs and raise your kids? How's she going to do that? You must be prepared for these things. That is what you're working for. So if you wake up every day as a man and you say, I don't have motivation to become strong. I don't want to work hard and get rich. I don't want to try and become financially free. What you're saying is that the second you disappear, everyone who loves you and respected you and relied on you is going to starve. How can you live that way as a man? Absolutely not really unacceptable. I train every single day and it doesn't matter how I feel. So in fact, I would actually argue that the number one way to deal with most of life's problems is always the same thing. You were saying that people deal with things in many different ways. That is true. But in my experience of life, there's only one way to deal with anything. It doesn't matter if you're heartbroken. It doesn't matter if you're sad. It doesn't matter if your bank balance is low. It doesn't matter if you lose a family member. It doesn't matter what it is. The answer to everything is always the same. Hard work. Work harder. The worse things are, the harder I will work. Jail changed me and I had some trouble in there. I never missed a single day's training. Since I've left jail, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I've been training harder than I've ever trained. I put it all over Twitter. I'm doing 6-7 hour days. I could sit around and complain about being tired. I could sit around and be a bitch. I could sit around and cry. Or I could just work harder than I've ever worked. It's fantastic that I can't sleep. It's all the time I need. So I can train endlessly. So my point is the answer is always hard work. What else is my answer going to be? I'm struggling with something. I'm going to work less. Does that make sense to you? How's that going to fix anything? Now, as I decipher the puzzle, because that's what life is, it's a puzzle, and as I decipher the lesson that has been bestowed upon me by God, and as I repair my mentality and become a more content individual, or perhaps a more stable individual like I was before, at least in the meantime, I've done a whole bunch of work. At least I've gotten bigger, stronger, faster, richer. What else am I going to do? Sit around and mope like a dummy? The answer is always hard work. Anyone who's watching this, no matter what problem you're facing in your life, there's only one answer: work. Work harder. It's actually funny, and I've said this before, so I'm going to say it again. You can also take the antidote before the poison. If you're always working as hard as possible, it's actually very difficult for bad things to actually catch up with you. You can take the antidote before the poison. Most people don't even work very hard. You think you work hard. You could work a lot harder. Hard work's always the answer, my friend. So there's a lot of people who are chasing the familiar feeling, and that familiar feeling can be extremely destructive. And you know what I would say is the most destructive feeling to be obsessed with trying to obtain? Happiness. constantly, as a man, trying to chase happiness as the most destructive thing you can do for your life. Because you can't delay gratification. You can't do anything which is particularly difficult. And the only thing that's going to make you happy quick is cheap happiness. Cheap and easy. Booze, cake, drugs, dumb shit. Real happiness, real contentment and pride takes a long time to build. You have to be able to be unhappy to have a greater reward at the end.